There are a lot of games that fail because they're bad. Some are rushed, some are unfinished, some simply don't deserve the attention they ask for. But sometimes a game fails for the complete opposite reason. Sometimes a game fails because it was actually too good. A game with one of the best movement systems ever created. A campaign that proved a multiplayer focused shooter could still tell an amazing story. And gameplay so smooth that years later, people are still begging for a sequel. And that game was Titanfall 2, and its story is one of the strangest examples of a masterpiece being completely destroyed by timing. Back in 2014, a new shooter appeared from a studio called Respawn Entertainment, and Respawn wasn't just some random developer. This was the team behind the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare games. After leaving Infinity Ward, the developers wanted to create something new, something faster, something that didn't feel like every other military shooter, and that idea became Titanfall. The concept was simple but insane. What if you could fight as a highly trained soldier, but then call down a giant walking robot from the sky? Titanfall makes two completely different fantasies: the speed and freedom of a futuristic soldier, and the power of controlling a massive machine. You can run on walls, double jump across buildings, slide around the map, and then jump inside a Titan and completely change the way you played. It wasn't just another shooter, it felt like the future of shooters. But despite the incredible gameplay, the first Titanfall had one major problem. It was only available on Xbox and PC. A huge part of the gaming audience never even got the chance to experience it. So when Respawn announced Titanfall 2, expectations were high. This time they wanted to fix everything. Titanfall 2's biggest surprise was something nobody expected: the campaign. At the time, most multiplayer shooters treated their campaigns like a checkbox, something you play once before moving on. But Titanfall 2 actually cared. You played as Jack Cooper, a regular soldier who dreams of becoming a Titan pilot. After a mission goes wrong, Cooper is forced to team up with a Titan named B2-7274, and surprisingly, their relationship becomes the heart of the entire game. BT isn't just a robot that follows you around, he slowly becomes your partner. The game creates this weird emotional connection between a human and a machine, and it does it without making BT overly human. He's still a robot, he talks logically, he does understand emotions, but somehow that makes the moments where he shows loyalty hit even harder. The campaign is also ridiculously creative. One mission lets you instantly travel between two different timelines. Another has you building a giant factory while fighting through it. Every level feels like Respawn asking, how can we make this mechanic interesting, instead of how can we make this game longer? And that's what makes Titanfall 2 special. It respects your time. It doesn't wait hours with boring missions. It constantly gives you something new. So how did a game this good fail? The answer is simple. It released at the worst possible time. Titanfall 2 launched in October 2016. And if you know anything about gaming history, you probably already see the problem. 1 week before Titan 2 released, EA launched another massive shooter, Battlefield 1. Then, just 1 week later, one of the biggest gaming franchises in history released, Call of Duty Infinity Warfare. Titanfall 2 was trapped between two giants. It was competing with EA's own game and one of the biggest franchises ever created. It was basically like releasing a new superhero movie between Marvel and DC films. Even if your movie is great, people are going to choose the names they already know, and that's exactly what happened. Titanfall 2 received incredible reviews. Players loved it, critics loved it, but sales didn't match the quality. The game was stuck in a situation where it had everything going for it, except attention. The funny thing is, Titanfall 2 didn't disappear. Actually, something unusual happened. The people who played it never stopped talking about it. The movement system became legendary. The multiplayer became a cult favorite. New players keep discovering the game years later and wondering, how did I never hear about this? Because honestly, Titanfall 2 feels like the type of a game that should have been huge. It has the polish of AAA game, the creativity of an indie game, and the confidence of a developer that knew exactly what it wanted to make. But sometimes being great isn't enough. Timing matters, marketing matters, competition matters, and Titanfall 2 became a reminder that quality doesn't always win. Today, Titanfall 2 is remembered differently, not as a failure, but as one of gaming's biggest what ifs. What if released at a better time? What if more people knew about it? What if Titanfall became the biggest franchise Respawn clearly wanted to be? We'll probably never know, but maybe that's what makes Titanfall 2 so interesting. It's proof that a game doesn't need millions of players to become legendary. Sometimes all it takes is creating something special, something that years later people still talk about, something that makes players say, how did this game not become bigger? Titanfall 2 wasn't too bad to succeed, it was the opposite. It was too good to succeed.